Thank you for joining Effortless Attraction. My name is Evelyn McAleer. I'm the author of A Life You Want, Effortless, and The Woman's Journey. I'm a life coach, business mentor, and inspirational speaker. And my greatest value is making a difference in people's lives. So I hope through these podcasts, I can make a difference to your life.
Today's podcast is sponsored by the Mary Keogh Academy, creating a safe and engaging environment for those struggling with addiction and helping empower women through group work, events, and seminars. For more information, visit www.marykeoghacademy.co.uk.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining in yet another Effortless Attraction podcast. And today I am joined by a beautiful County Fermanagh lady. Her name is Emma Weaver, and I'm going to tell you a wee bit about Emma. Emma is the founder of Mental Wealth International, an organisation supporting businesses to achieve better mental health and well-being within the workplace. Emma has over 23 years experience working in the mental health and well-being sector, supporting adults with well-being, working across various sectors. She's an award-winning international best-selling author with her debut debut novel, The Blue Line, and her new book is called Mental Wealth. She's also co-author of The Wealthy Mindset. She's an international speaker and she uses her voice to champion mental wealth. Emma is a 2 times TEDx speaker and she's now the TEDx Enniskillen curator. Well, you are very welcome today now, Mrs.
I'm absolutely delighted to be here, Evan. So thank you very much for inviting me along to this amazing podcast.
Isn't it wonderful how paths cross? The first time I saw you, well, people are acquaintances on Facebook.
Yes.
And it's only when you see someone in person, think, I know that name. I was at a graduation of a friend and in Enniskillen, and you were their keynote speaker there that day. Up among the professors and all this, there was Emma. And I know her. So Emma, I'm going to start off today. There was something that you briefly touched on while you were speaking that day in Enniskillen, which resonated with me. Now, I know you're a huge advocate for education, adult learning, and helping people progress, but on your own personal journey, and I know we didn't discuss this, so I really hope you don't mind speaking about it, because I would like to know personally, you mentioned about your husband had passed at one stage.
Yeah. And would you believe it, Evan? That was the first. So Gary, as Chloe's dad, he passed, it's 22 years this August. And gosh, how time flies. And I don't talk about it very often. It's not really a conversation, that I don't. But when I was invited to be the keynote speaker at the graduation, I thought it was really poignant or important for me to explain to everybody that I was once sitting where yous are all sitting today, 3 weeks after having faced the biggest adversity of my life at that stage. And I knew, and I said it in the space that you were there that day, I didn't know what was going to happen with me and Chloe, what the future was going to bring. But I knew the fact that I had got so far in my education journey and that I was graduating that day, that we were going to be all right, that I could build on that. We weren't sitting with nothing. There was hope. And in fact, it was the day of the Twin Towers. It was September the 11th, 2001. So there was so much going on. But it was 3 weeks after her dad was killed on a motorbike. And, you were just sitting there. Chloe was sitting on my knee. She was 5 at the time. She was sitting on my knee. And I do remember having that thought, thinking, life's a bit chaos at the minute, but it's going to be all right, because we'd got that far and built a stepping stone that I could build on, and that was through education.
I thought that, it really spoke to me whenever you'd said to the graduates or whatever their title is.
Graduates. I know, I didn't know either.
That, a few weeks beforehand, a young woman with a child and now dealing with the loss. And thinking, right. But having that, did that actually come on you there at that time? Or was it something that built, I have hope? Did you always
Yeah.
have the hope, or was it something that came on to you,
Well,
Emma?
I suppose bearing in mind, if I was sitting graduating in 2001, I had become a young mum. So I mean, the I don't know what word to put it, the surprise of having my beautiful girl so young. I'd already overcome a lot. I'd already built resilience. It built my character. That's a very nice way of saying it. It had built my character through the adversity that brought from other people, not from myself or indeed Chloe's dad. um there was a lot of opinions around it, I suppose, being so very young. So by the time I got to the graduation, and even though that had only happened 3 weeks prior, I suppose there was already a bit of strength and resilience there, but that just shook us to the core. You think you've kind of got over stuff, and then something like it's life changing.
Yeah.
Nothing's the same again. And one of the hardest things, and it's took me years to get over this, not even over it, but to deal with it, was telling Chloe, sitting my 5-year-old daughter down and telling her that this had happened. Took a huge, profound effect on me. That took me, I didn't realize until maybe 15 years later that that's where the impact hit me, was telling my daughter that her dad had been killed. I thought it was everything else that surrounded that. So the hope that I do remember sitting, it was in the Ardone Theatre in the auditorium. I do remember sitting thinking, we're gonna get through this. It's going to be all right. So to be invited all those years later to be the keynote speaker, like never in my wildest dreams, and it genuinely was such a privilege. So I felt, to try and be, you're trying to be inspirational, but you're trying to be authentic and real. And just like you did, they named out, oh, Emma's the CEO of her own company. She brought TEDx to Enniskillen. She's an award. They read out all those things. But Emma was also sitting where they were all sitting 22 years ago, in a completely different headspace, but knew through that experience that I was able to build hope and strength from there. So I just felt it was important, because, and you just don't know who's sitting in the room.
No.
Like,
You
look at us
actually,
chatting now.
you remind me, there was a lady here the other night, and she spoke about, she had ovarian cancer, cancer of the womb, very severe actually with it. But strangely, she said the same words that you have just said there now. I knew I was going to be okay. I've actually heard a few people, when I think of it now, a good friend of mine that had a triple heart bypass. He says, I knew I was going to be okay, that there's something, I know I'm going to be all right. I think it's people on the outside that feel helpless, that
Yeah.
don't know what to say, that don't know how to help you, but there's something in you. I know I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
So Emma, was that, do you feel the building blocks for you to go on and help people with mental resilience, mental well-being?
At an unconscious level, perhaps. It's only in the last few years, speaking to people like yourself and other people, everybody always tries to say, how did you get into what you get into? But I had already been through college, because obviously when that happened, I was graduating. The moment for me really was when I was on my placement, and one of my placements was in the terminology then I'm just going to use now, a recovery day support center for people that had mental health issues, that you came during the day, that helped you maintain independence in the community. So we just supported you in that. And I was about 19, maybe 20. And I walked into the room and realized, I know these people. I know these people, and I did not. They live very independent lives in the community. Some of them had families, jobs, businesses, but they were coming here on a regular basis for a little bit of extra support with their mental health and their well-being. And that's what was maintaining their independence and ability to rear their families, and ability, this bit of support that we were able to offer. And I could still picture me walking into the room, and that realization that mental health can impact anybody and everybody, and if we're able to support people fulfill their lives and reach their potential and still maintain some form of independence, the ripple effect of that was huge. So it was in that moment that I knew, and just continued on from there. In later years, in hindsight, reflecting back, you can probably see then how, with life events, I'd already built the resilience, different things had already happened, at such a young age. My perspective in life had changed, the way that I seen the world, everything had changed from that moment, I suppose, being a young mum. I probably had matured a lot quicker as well. I'd like to think so, a lot quicker at that stage. But that's when I knew that I had something in me that could support people to live a good life.
Yeah. I think, isn't it something that's in everyone? We want to help.
Yes.
We just want to help people. And then, but unfortunately, what a lot of us do is we put ourselves to the end of the queue because we just want to be the helpers. I'll do that for you. And I can't say no. I want to do that. And do you feel sometimes is that where mental health, if we get physically, mentally exhausted for doing and helping, it can affect people, Emma?
100%. And Evan, that is why I have coined the phrase mental wealth. And the idea is that you look after your own mental health and well-being, and then you can support other people, because you can't show up your best self. And I suppose the psychology in me and the books that I read and the education that I went through, and even it was over 2 decades, really understanding, why are you putting yourself last? What is it? What are you deflecting from? What has happened? Where has that came from? Because we shouldn't be doing it. Is it a limiting belief? Is it cultural? Is it that you think you are not worthy of the same, so you'll show up for other people quicker than you'll show up from yourself? So I do ask those questions. Why? People pleasing is a term that the people use a lot. It's not necessarily something that I go too much into, but it's about asking the right questions and understanding, why do you feel the need to always be giving to others and maybe not so much to yourself? Because it's not a selfish thing to do.
I was reading out something in one of our actually, I don't know if it was a female or male group. And it was something that I'd came across, and just when you talk about people pleasing, and I was saying, like, way at the start, when the cavemen and the women, it was very important for us to have teams or groups or tribes for survival, to build the house, to get the food. So we either had to contribute something or to be liked, have something to be liked. You like me, maybe. But them days have all since hopefully changed.
And they definitely have, but I do still believe there's an element of that still needed, just by the nature of who we are and how we're made up. So whether it's the hunter-gatherer, I was actually doing a bit of studying with a group. They were in Australia, and they were talking about having a pleasing personality, but they weren't talking about people pleasing. They were talking to me, really what they were talking about was being a pleasant person, a pleasant, helpful person is what a pleasing personality was. And I actually then, whenever we came away, I read up on it a little bit more, and I thought that's a nicer fit, to just to try and do the best that you can, be a pleasant person, don't do harm unto others, and go the extra mile if you can. But don't jeopardize yourself to do it, because that just stirs up loads of other stuff, and there's a beautiful lady, she's actually from Belfast, I don't know if you know her or not. She's Lisa Strutt, and I would have done some mentoring with her, and she would have always said, if you're saying yes to something, what are you saying no to? And that the thing that you're saying no to could be yourself. If you're saying yes to doing something or committing to something else, is it putting pressure on you? Are you saying no to yourself? So that is definitely a question that I have learned to ask myself throughout the years.
Surely. We see it even in the female groups, are repeat patterns in people, and male, female, whatever, or it doesn't matter if you're CEO or stay-at-home mom. It's just repeat patterns that we keep repeating over and over. Do you feel, with talking to people, Emma, we're afraid to show up and just be me? This is me. Or maybe I could show up tomorrow and be a better version of myself. The reason why I'm laughing, because I guarantee if I was to go back to my very, very, very first video I ever done, And I had this judgment on people. I thought, oh, they're so groomed in their fancy background. And I was going, I'm just going to show up and be me. And so I did. And I was like, but as time has progressed, I thought, I think I'm going to have a nice background now. I think I'm going to help my side. I think I'm going to brush my hair today.
But that was your choice. That's your choice, and that's the difference. You chose to do that. I think, and I definitely believe we are embracing authenticity more now, so that not perfectly groomed or well-spoken version that people might have looked 4 years ago. People want more relatable now, and they want to feel connected. And I find that really hard at the start in terms of giving of myself or my story. And it's only then in realizing, when I wrote the first book, The Blue Line, the amount of people that were going, thank you so much for sharing that, because nobody talks about this. I didn't really want to talk about it either, but it was just a calling that came to talk about IVF and struggles and journeys and things like that there. But it's messy. But people believe it or not, people like messy. And years ago, and this is the only thing I can liken it to, years ago, whenever you were doing business with somebody, you just wanted to see this lovely polished version, outwards version of the business, what the product was or service, and what you could get out of it. Whereas now people want to know, why do you do what you do? How do you do what you do? Where did the idea come out of? Like that wasn't really asked years and years ago. People didn't really, they just wanted you to show up and be your best self. Whereas people want to be relatable now. So I think it's got, people nearly prefer you. Like, I do a little car chat every morning in my car, a 50-second talk about what I'm doing in the day. Some days I look great, other days you can tell I've literally dragged myself out of the house and I'm on my way to do a talk somewhere, and I'm just, but it's relatable. So people are more accepting of the messy bookshelf, or you just not sitting perfect. But see what you're saying there, that after a while then you thought, right, I'm going to brush my hair. You chose to do that. You didn't feel that you had to, or because you're already showing up for yourself, which is beautiful.
And it's, as you're saying there, you do put yourself out. Now I understand people's vulnerability, that they're afraid again of what will people say. And there are certain topics, especially when it's, and we're in I suppose Ireland here too. Sure, everybody knows everybody. And so when you put yourself out there, I said, be under no illusion. Of course, people will talk poorly of you. That's the human nature. They are going to. But as you mentioned there, if you're passionate about something and believe in something, and was your calling to do something, well, this is it. I'm prepared to do whatever it needs to be in order for me to live my purpose. Now, I'm going to go to your books.
Oh.
The first book, The Blue Line. Tell us a wee bit about it.
So, The Blue Line. Now, I would love to say I never anticipated ever writing a book about anything. It was not on my bucket list. And when I turned 40, my sister gifted me a voucher to publish a book. She knew, she found out a story. So I had went through IVF for my last child, and we went through IVF, I should say. We went through IVF for my last little girl, and it was a hard journey. It was a harsh journey. Again, I hadn't anticipated. I've kind of nearly went through everything, if you think about it. I hadn't anticipated going through it. And it was a hard journey, and it probably took its toll on me. And I would very much be into gratitude journaling, writing things down, a brain dump, get it out of your head and onto a piece of paper, whether you crumple it up, burn it, or keep it as a reminder, whatever it is. So my sister did encourage me, and she says, you need to write your story. You need to write a book. And it's for you to heal, because I had to heal, but it's also for other people to understand. So I wrote the book, The Blue Line. It is it's a story. It's based on my true IVF journey. However, the characters are fictional. Some of the stories are fiction, it's not, but the actual IVF of going through it 3 times, and what happened the first time, what happened second time, that's all true in the book, and it's called Blue Line. So I wrote it in like a with fictional characters in it. And that's the only way I could, because it was too close. So it's Sam and Keith, and they go through all this journey, but it's true to life in terms it's my actual journey. So and that's then how I got invited then to do a TED talk based on IVF, because again, nobody was really talking about it. And people really then reached out to say they'd read the book, and they didn't know a sister had went through it, or another family member had went through it, and they didn't realize the emotional side of it all and what actually it all involved. They just thought you rocked up, got a couple of injections, and all of a sudden, whereas I explain it all. It's all it's all in the book, all the gory details, or in the talk. So it was a hard thing to do, and I started writing it, and I put it away for about a year and a half. I wouldn't look at it. I put it away, and then Sharon McNulty's going to laugh. I done a course with her on Joyful Spaces, where you declutter your life.
I done a podcast with Sharon the other way.
She's amazing. So what I done was I decluttered under my stairs. We call it like a wee Harry Potter thing under my stairs. I took everything out of it and put a table in it and finished my book in 1 week.
Good.
And then it got published. So
good.
It was all those elements.
Well, that's great. Tell us, can people get it on Amazon if they're looking about it, Emma?
Yeah, you can get it on Amazon. It's called The Blue Line, or you can get it at KMD Books. That's the publisher as well. But it's a lovely book to just understand the essence. It's not too heavy, because every book and I bought loads of books, they're very medical. It's all the medical side of IVF and infertility and all of that there. But this book's more about the roller coaster and the emotions and the actual things.
Listen, I'll say thank you for writing your book, because same as yourself, I've written 3 books, and I try to encourage people, and people start on their book, and then I'll go back, Harry, now is not the right time, or this fear that is holding them back. And the problem is, when that fear comes in, we are making it about me.
Yes.
Stop making it about yourself and share, because you had to be vulnerable there, Emma, to offload, to share that. And it's scary. And my books were the same, where they were personal. They had to be, because I couldn't write on anything unless it was real stories. But in order to do that, if I can help someone, make a difference. So anyone, I'm telling you now, if you're thinking there's a book in me, get it done, or go to someone that's going to push you on to do it. Now, your new book, Emma, Mental Wealth. It's a very fancy looking cover on it. Nice gold and black.
I do love it. And obviously, again, and what that book is, the first half of that book is like little nuggets of my wisdoms that I've learned over the years. It's an impactful book that you can lift and just open at any page, and you're going to get something different every time. They're the kind of books that I like. So I purposely want, so there's like, I've done a bit on limiting beliefs, or the ways to well-being, or maintaining, reducing anxiety. There's all different chapters in it. I can't even think of them all, to tell you the truth. But the idea was that you could just lift them. Yeah, so turn your pain into purpose is all in your daily routine. So little nuggets of wisdoms that throughout the years that I have felt. And then I have some amazing contributors to the book as well, who again have been very vulnerable and shared their stories and now their wisdoms, and whether it was overcoming adversity or whether it was in the workplace, and they're now sharing their wisdoms about how they became mentally strong and built on their mental wealth. So it's a lovely blended book of both. So my wisdoms and then contributors' stories. So it's a beautiful book. And again, of course, it's aligned with what I'm trying to do, get out there into the world and talking about mental wealth and how it's important to maintaining well-being every day, even when you're feeling well. Keep doing it.
That's true. And I'm glad that you said that, because I'm a big advocate for manifesting and creating and pulling things into our life. What we're putting out there, we're going to draw back. And it's difficult and it's hard when you're not in a great place to think you can get yourself out of this, because it can be tight going. But what I have seen, Emma, for people, they do make the change. And for example, we do 6:30 calls in the morning, and they get up and they start making change, and they maybe have coaching, and they might go to seminars, and they might buy the book, and things start happening, and great things start coming into their lives. But what does happen is, you see, because when we weren't feeling so great, we were permitting the outside to control us. Now they made all this work, life's great on the outside, but then they stopped doing the practices they did in order to receive that. And again, once more, reliant on the outside to make me happy. I mean, for people, you know yourself that you can get the baby, or you can get the car, or you can get the house, or you can get the money. You can have those things, but it's the person that you are along that journey and maintaining it, because they're only experiences.
Yeah.
We're never going to hold on to or keep anything, even our children.
That's right. Well, they're not, they're there to walk a journey with us and then make their own. That's the thing. But you're 100% right. It took me a long time. I don't know about yourself, it took me a long time, a lot of work. So I probably very similar to yourself, the gratitude. I meditate, I write things down. I do the breath work with Sean, all those things. But see, if I stop doing them, I feel different. And that's why it's really important. But you've got to find your thing, whatever works for you, because what I do is not going to work for you or somebody else. So it's really important to try different things and then find what you can do at your ease and incorporate it into your life that works for you, but do it consistently.
That's it. And that's the key.
Yeah.
Consistency. And as I say, only I said to those ladies, just because it's my group in the morning, I am so glad I have them. That's three, to get up and we're on that, how we start our day. And you do miss, if you're starting, if anyone's listening to this and you're feeling not so great, or if you think of what have I not been doing, perhaps ladies have thought, oh, I couldn't get up this morning, I was too tired this morning. But that, when there's a consistency of that.
Yes. And it's how you feel when you stop doing it, that you then know. Like if I don't do my gratitude, just say it for 3 or 4 days, and I start to feel a wee bit different, I'm like, why am I feeling like this? And why am I feeling like this? And then I will understand I haven't been doing my gratitude. And that's how I know it works, because I feel better when I'm doing it. You mightn't realize when you're doing it that that's maintaining well-being. It's when you stop and then you start to feel a little bit different. But I think it's really important that it is whatever works for you, because you'll keep it up. You'll keep it up. So, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whether it's sitting in the car, or if it's in the morning or in the evening, but just consistently show up for yourself and do it, and it makes a difference. And trust. Because I think trust, Evelyn, is a big thing. Trust the process.
Do you know what? There was a woman that sent me a message the other day, and her mother's elderly, and she has a sister with special needs, but she was running between the two of them and trying to get her own business going. And she said, Evelyn, I've just literally been hanging on with the fingernails and no more. And she said, you know what? At the end of it, she says, I just surrendered it. I just handed it all over. And things started to change a wee bit. And then I sent her an audio that it reminded me of, because there is that thing, whether people choose to call it God or not God or something, even if there's anything, that there has to be something more powerful than us all. Hand it over. I haven't the strength today, and there's days, and even though you know yourself, Emma, whatever work we do, there's days, and it has to come. Them days do come, and I might sit and say, God, would you send me a wee bit of help today? Now it's up to me to be aware where that help's coming from. It could be somebody that just comes to the door. Well, Ian, do you want a cup of tea? It mightn't be the help that I'm expecting. Here's the lottery, Evelyn.
That would be a nice help. But Evelyn, honestly, you are singing my tune, because I try to explain that to people. Sometimes you just literally have to look up and say, a bit of help wouldn't go astray today. And it's up to us to recognize the signs or act on that inspired thought, or whatever it is that comes our way, act on it or choose to acknowledge it, whatever it is. Because, and again, you could take me down a rabbit hole here, and it's the energy that we're given to things is what the outcome is going to be. So it's the energy we're given to our thoughts or the outside things, whether it's a person or a thing, it's the energy that we give to it. So handing it over is crucial to change all of that.
And you see, somebody could look in your life, and this is what people choose to say, right? Well, there's a girl went and she's qualified, she's got education, she's got certificates, so no wonder she's doing what she's doing. But you see, the same girl could have come out of college with the same amount of certificates and education and thought, who'd want to talk to me? Sure, what have I got to say? Have no self-confidence. And sometimes it takes life to train us what education can't.
Yes.
And that's what builds us to.
And that's what I talked about, that, you know, that education was a stepping stone. The rest was built on life. The rest, like, I had already learned the hard way about resilience. I had already learned the hard way that other people's opinions don't matter. I had learned all that very young. And again, it's only looking back and reflecting that I know that, because people do say, how do you think like that? And I sit and go, I wonder why. Or, I don't, are you afraid of success? Are you afraid of failure? All those questions. I've asked myself all of those things, or where did it come from? But it came from, hitting certain walls throughout my life. Some things worked, some things didn't work. And I will always learn the lesson. I will always take the lesson from it.
Yeah.
There's no truer word said than you win or you learn. And I, for some reason, have always taken a lesson out of everything. I would have been a bit hard on myself, maybe in my 20s, very hard on myself. I'm definitely a lot kinder to myself now. And again, hand it all over. But what's the lesson? That will never happen to me again, because I've learned now, I've really.
And if you don't, this is, it's fascinating. Oh gosh, I could end up talking, as you say, why does this happen? And my heart does go out. I do see women, because that's who I'm mostly talking with. Why does these things, Evelyn, keep happening in my life? Well, I don't know if people want to hear, why they keep happening in your life, because that means you got to take responsibility here. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you right, him wrong, you right.
Yeah.
You got to change internally.
Yeah. 100%. And that's what makes the difference. So in any given scenario, if there's more than one person involved, there's responsibility to be held, everywhere. So equally, don't you take it all on either, but
No.
don't assume it's all the other person. And even when I'm out doing talks and workshops and things, we talk about controlling the controllables. So understanding what's in your control and what's not, and other people's behaviors and things are not in your control, but yours are. So
Absolutely.
Your thoughts, your behaviors, your actions, all those things, that's, you gotta look at yourself too. And that mirror is a very hard one to hold up sometimes. And like, you don't even have to tell other people, right, this was all what I have done wrong. It just depends who you're talking to. You have to protect yourself as well. You have to at least acknowledge it yourself.
Yeah.
You've got to acknowledge it yourself.
It is. Oh, it's brilliant. I think that's the reasons why my books are very small, simple. I thought, life can be simple. I think life can be simple if we make it simple. And all the message that I've ever wanted to say, I actually could cry when I say all the message I ever want to say to people, the power that you have, the power that I have, the power that we all have, but yet we don't believe it. We don't believe it about ourselves. And it always has been us. It has been nothing else, only my thoughts, my words, and my actions that have created my reality.
Yeah. I do not think that's the beauty of it. And I mean, is it the Wizard of Oz where they say you had the power all along? Is that I can't remember. And I remember when I was younger watching The Labyrinth, and the girl at the end said, you have no power over me. I think once we realize we hold the power, other people don't have it over us. Now, society, culture, family dynamics, all these other things come into play. And it is very true. Sometimes it's about unraveling as opposed to becoming, but it's being aware of both. But hold your own power. The right people will come. The right people will find you. They will come. And don't worry about everybody else.
Brilliant. Oh, great. I feel like a wee bit, is this lovely? I get teary-eyed now whenever I know enough about a person before I do an interview, and I don't want to know any more, because I allow the process. I love just the chats with no scripted of questions. I think it'll come. Whatever it is, the chats will happen.
Yeah. And that's beautiful.
You're out and about, Emma, then, for businesses. Is that what the main thing you're doing?
So what I do with Mental Health International, so I worked managing mental health services for over 23 years, and loved it, built teams, worked across all different genres, recovery services, probation board, learning difficulties, mostly mental health, all in float and sport, all different areas. But always knew there was just something missing. And the expectation that when somebody becomes that unwell, that the onus is on them to reach out for help. And you're not always capable. You're not always capable. Sometimes that's the hardest thing to do. So about it was actually November 2019. I remembered I was at an executive networking event in Crumcastle that my sister and another lady had held. And I woke up in the middle of the night one night, not even joking yet. And I always have a pen and a piece of paper beside the bed, and I wrote it all down. Mental Wealth International, delivering mental health first aid, workshops, writing blogs about it, doing vlogs, going out into workplaces and changing the conversation around mental health and how we support each other, mostly in workplaces, but also schools, gyms, all those places, and really trying to create the impact that there's help there. There's help inwards, as well as expecting people to wait, because you wait until you hit the wall and to then go to your GP, to then get assigned a community mental health team member, to then get a key worker, to then be sitting in front of me, the manager of a support centre. You could be talking 2 years, and life's got worse. So I genuinely truly believe the workplace is a good place to promote proper, meaningful, and that's my word, meaningful mental health conversations. Get some mental health first aiders in that are trained, that are confident and competent to support anybody that has an issue, and the ripple effect of that's huge.
That's what I was going to say, that the ripple, it just wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
It has to go out, probably into families and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's not the importance of perhaps the leaders or the owners of businesses, that they're investing in their employees. And I've had a good few guests on, and thankfully there are businesses that are changing, and they're investing in speakers, they're investing in people like yourself to come in, to step in, and for someone to connect, because you just don't know that day, Emma, when somebody's walking in, you just don't know what's going through anybody's head. And
everybody brings something.
Yeah.
Everybody brings something. And construction just is my biggest client, and that wasn't necessarily intentionally when I went out. They just like my straight talking, solution focused ideas and going out and delivering it. And they've really embraced the concept of mental wealth and supporting each other in the work environment, as well as getting external support. Beautiful blend.
And when you find that environment's more male.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And look, I don't know what other countries are like too. I know we have a male group too, but it's men talking to men, because it's a bit awkward, uncomfortable, and just don't know what to say to them.
Well, there's the banter and all that. Now, I didn't know, like, you could see me, Evan, I'm not joking you, starting up, you can imagine me starting up at a building site in Dublin with my heels on, mucked to my knees, talking about mental health. But really, the feedback that I have got, and again, this is learning for me, I'm quite straight talking, solution focused. I know what I'm talking about. I just cut to the chase. Let's get something done about this, and listen to what people are saying. But if you hold space for people in a room, not everybody's going to talk, and that's all right. But if one person starts to talk, other people then will engage in it. Even what I have found, I've went out to utility sites, like bin men and people that help keep your towns tidy, and all those people. And there was a mixture in the room. It was those people that are out delivering or collecting our bins, but there was also office people, there was directors of the organization, there was a whole cohort of people in that room. And one person spoke up, and then one of the directors went, I didn't know that. And it started the conversation. That's it. Start the conversation, put it on the table, and then the magic starts to happen after that.
That's right. You always give. That's why it's important, no matter what anybody does. Should it be writing a book? Should it be doing a video? Should it be as somebody speaking in a room? You give others permission to speak up, because somebody, and I wrote the thing, it's like a dance floor. Unless somebody goes first, that dance floor is always going to be empty, because they're waiting on somebody. So come on. I'm like, yes,
that's
there we go.
Beautiful.
The dance floor will always, because I was mad about dancing anyway, you see, me and my dad. So the dance floor always stayed empty, and I'd say, come on. And once one person got up,
everybody.
The dance floor is full.
It's human nature. It's just who we are. So it's holding space and giving permission. That's a lovely way of putting it.
Yeah. Oh, great. Emma, listen, it's been absolutely fabulous speaking to you now. I know you're on Instagram, on Facebook, and on LinkedIn there as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if anyone wants to find out more, what's your website, Emma?
So it's www.mentalwealthinternational.com. So I actually have a new service coming out, so that's great if people wanted to happen to look at it. It's online, Toolbox Talks, Mental Wealth Toolbox Talks, which are lovely and accessible to people that are busy in their lives, and it'll all go up on the website. So it's all happening.
I like that. It's very gender neutral, Toolbox Talks, isn't it?
It's a
very
toolbox,
construction-y and woman.
yeah. Well, it is, and probably that's where it started. Somebody asked me, could you not come and do this every month? And I was like, I don't know if I can come and do it every month, but I have put together a video and a workbook for every month. So, and it's me talking. So it's just to be able to help people a little bit more and kind of create the ripple effect and the impact in whatever way suits people.
Well, I am quite sure on a mucky Dublin site, with you coming in your heels, you put a smile on any man's face with his high
Well,
vis on
you
it.
can imagine they're all probably thinking, what's this doll going to talk about today? And then I start talking. And so they're like, all right, she's not that bad. She kind of knows what she's talking about.
Emma, thank you so much for your time and for the chats today.
Oh, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
If you would like to advertise your business by becoming a sponsor on an upcoming Effortless Attraction podcast, send an email to evelyn@evelynmcalew.com.